Today on Time About the Movies, we've got a trio of some really good comedies, including Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, starring in a reboot of 21 Jump Street, which is not the 21 Jump Street that you think it is. Sort of. We'll talk about that as we go along here, but we also have Will Ferrell doing a very unusual comedy, the Spanish comedy Casa de mi Padre, but we also have Ed Helms, Jason Segel, and Susan Sarandon in the Duplass Brothers' latest film, Jeff Who Lives at Home. So 3 films to take a look at here. March 16th, 2012. This is, of course, Time About the Movies.
Jump Street.
Yeah, who would have guessed that that would have been one of the best movies of the year, because it really is. Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 3 films that make up March 16, 2012, and we start off, of course, with 21 Jump Street, which is essentially an adaptation of the Fox TV series from the 1980s, which starred Johnny Depp, was created by Stephen J. Cannell, one of the great TV creators, and was basically a high school drama about these police officers who were, they go undercover as high schoolers, and they go through this whole thing where, they bust all these kids who are criminals and all that. And it was a very good show, honestly. Most people forget how good of that show really was. I mean, it was really an intriguing show, not just because of the cast they had. I mean, Johnny Depp was really good in there. Holly Robinson really did a damn good job with the singing voice for the theme song. I mean, that theme song is great and all. So, who would have thought that they would have taken this and made it into a really funny comedy? But then again, it's Phil Lord and Chris Miller. What more did you expect from them after what they did with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs and what they would later do with the Spider-Man movies and the Lego Movie? In this movie, you have Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill starring as police officers who are forced to relive high school when they are assigned to prevent the outbreak of a new synthetic drug and arrest the supplier. And they're put in this unit with Ice Cube as their boss, and you also have Brie Larson, pre-Oscar for Room, Dave Franco, Rob Riggle, D. Ray Davis, Chris Parnell, Ellie Kemper, Jake Johnson, Nick Offerman. You even get cameos from a lot of the people from 21 Jump Street in here. Johnny Depp has a cameo in here. Peter DeLuise, Holly Robinson Pete. There is a lot of really good talent involved in here. Dakota Johnson, this was one of her first big movie roles before she eventually made a name for herself in the decade ahead. But, yeah, the movie just overall is really, really funny. I mean, this is a movie that is not at all like the TV series, but what it does is just makes you laugh so hard. And Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum work so well together. I mean, like I said, for Channing Tatum, this is a big year for him, where he has so many movies where he just shows off his true potential as an actor overall. We had Haywire, and then we got Magic Mike coming up in the summer. I mean, this is a great year for him. It's a great year for comedy in general. There was a lot of really, really funny movies, and this is definitely one of those films. It's a very funny movie. It's a film that pays homage, but also makes fun of the original series in general, and it's a really good, well-made film. It's a very funny film. It's one of the big surprises of the year. Nobody really expected it to be as good as it was, and it eventually led to a sequel that was even better than the original, but we'll save that for 2014. But, yeah, 21 Jump Street is a pretty damn good movie. Not much more to say about it, but it's definitely a movie that is more than worth checking out. Check this movie out if you haven't seen it already. So, with all that said, let's go ahead and get to our next movie, which is easily the most intriguing movie of the weekend, easily, because, Will Ferrell does a lot of comedies, but who would have guessed he would have said yes to a comedy that's entirely in Spanish called Casa de mi Padre?
Will Ferrell, Casa de mi Padre, rated R, in theaters March 16th.
Yeah, Will Ferrell definitely took some pretty interesting risks around this time period. I mean, this is a movie that is essentially, the title in English means House of My Father, or simply My Father's House. And it features Will Ferrell playing a man named Armando Alvarez, who has lived and worked at his father's ranch in Mexico his entire life. As the ranch encounters financial difficulties, Armando's younger brother, played by Diego Luna, shows up with his new fiancée, played by Genesis Rodriguez. It seems that Raul's success as an international businessman means the ranch's troubles are over, as he pledges to settle all debts his father had incurred. But when Armando falls for Sonia, and Raul's business dealings turn out to be less than legitimate, all hell breaks loose. They find themselves in the war with Mexico's most feared drug lord, the mighty Onza, played by Gael Garcia Bernal. You also have Pedro Almaderez Jr., Efraim Ramirez, Adrian Martinez, Dan Haggerty, and also Nick Offerman, his second movie we've seen him in this weekend with 21 Jump Street. And what's notable about this is that this is also written by Harper Steele, who back then was known as Andrew Steele, but of course, has since then become a woman, and has worked with Will Ferrell on several weird projects like this. I mean, not only did they do this, but they also did. Remember when they worked on that Lifetime movie with Kristen Wiig called A Deadly Adoption? Yeah, that was a thing that happened. It was played straight. It was a movie that did not work, but I give him credit for doing something that is so out of the ordinary and just went with it, man. I mean, that's the same thing with this movie here. This one is definitely better than that, but I can't say it's a great movie overall. I give it credit, though, for being something unique and different, and I enjoy it. I think it's fine. I feel like there could have been so much more with it, per se. Like, you really look at this and see what they're going with here, and you feel like there's so much more they can do with this idea, but they don't. It's like 60% great. 60% great, and there's that 40% where it's just kind of like, we really don't know how to put the rest of this together to make a 100% great movie, but that 60% overall is really well done. It's a really big surprise on how much I enjoyed this, but I feel like there should have been a lot more on the table for this to be a really, really great film. It's not quite there. I know it kind of feels like I'm giving a very jumbled review here, but I did enjoy the movie. I just wish there was a lot more to it to give it that extra level, to make this one of those movies where it's one of Will Ferrell's best movies, but I can't really go down that route per se. But it is a film that I'll give him credit. I'll give him credit for trying something unique and different with it. It almost works, but not enough for me to give it a total recommendation. I would say rent it or watch it once. If it's on YouTube, it's one of those free things where you watch it and you see that it's free. I think you can enjoy and get a kick out of it there, but it's not one you're going to be want to toy boat. It's not one you're going to want to be watching over and over again. Let's just go with that. But for a one-time watch, I enjoyed it. Casa de mi Padre. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and our last one actually, and that is Jeff Who Lives at Home.
You're a Sasquatch. Jeff Who Lives at Home. Rated R. In select theaters, March 16.
Which I don't know. I mean, in this economy, it probably is better to go live at home, pretty much. But I digress. This is the follow-up for the Duplass brothers after the success with Cyrus 2 years ago. Kind of a similar setup here. Jeff, played by Jason Segel, is 30 and lives in his mom's basement, unemployed, looking for signs about what to do with his life, his mother being played by Susan Sarandon. He answers a wrong number call for Kevin. Later on the bus, he sees someone wearing a jersey with Kevin on the back. Jeff follows him. Meanwhile, Jeff's brother, Pat, played by Ed Helms, who's a tone-deaf salesman, upsets his wife by buying a Porsche they can't afford. Pat runs into Jeff soon after they see Pat's wife with another man. At her job, Jeff and Pat's mom receive emails from a secret admirer. She tries to figure out who it is. Misunderstandings, errors, and confrontations are bound. A backup of the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway brings things to a head. And yeah, like I said, it's a movie that is pretty much the standard Duplass Brothers movie, but I've liked what the Duplass Brothers have done beforehand. I like what they did with Baghead. I like what they did with Baghead. I like what they did with Cyrus. I like what they did with The League, the TV series The League, because the Duplass brothers are involved in that show. It's a Jason Reitman production. I mean, the guy clearly is doing something right with his career. Is kind of doing something outside of his father's footsteps, but still making good movies. This is a really good film. It's a very solid cast overall. You got Judy Greer in here as well. Rae Dawn Chong is in this movie. We haven't seen her in anything in a long, long time, and it's nice to see her back on the big screen overall. And it's a short movie. It's a very quick film. It's only about an hour and a half, and it really kind of runs through pretty quickly, where you're not really upset that you want to see more of it. You think, or got too little of it. It's at the right place and time where you can stop the movie where it is, and you are going to get a lot of value out of it. I think it's a really good movie. It's one that doesn't get talked about as much, but it really does show what Jason Segel's capabilities of as an actor are. Not just as this great comedic actor, but what we'll see later on down the road with stuff like Shrinking, and of course the stuff on How I Met Your Mother. It's definitely the better of his comedies that came out this year, because wait till we get to the 5-Year Engagement. That film was oh boy, that was a mess. But that's next month for movies to look at. But yeah, I overall enjoyed this movie. I think it's a ton of fun. I think it's a well-made film. Definitely worth checking it out. Definitely worth checking it out. What the? Definitely worth checking it. Toy boat. Let's try this again. Jeff Who Lives at Home. It's definitely worth checking out. Okay, we're good. So on that beautiful note, we're going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies up. But next time we meet, we got a really big movie coming up on our next show. The biggest new release of the year easily. And that is The Hunger Games with Jennifer Lawrence and Josh Hutcherson, Woody Harrelson, Elizabeth Banks, Donald Sutherland in the first of a series of films based off the books of the same name. And unlike the Twilight movies, these movies are pretty solid right from the beginning. For the most part. We'll touch on that as we go along here, but we'll talk about this first movie coming up next time. And we also have a sequel to look at, The Raid Redemption. So we'll take a look at that film along with The Hunger Games coming up tomorrow on the show. So stay tuned for that next episode. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did and want to see more videos like this, please go ahead and do me the honor of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist, and don't forget to check out the last episode we did. So with all that said, whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.